It's bittersweet. When it comes to chocolate, I love bittersweet chocolate. When it comes to life, we don't look for the bitter, we want the sweet. So what's sweet? 3 hostages are coming home now. That's sweet. That is amazing. 3 precious lives that have been hostage by murderous regime, Hamas, for 15 months, coming home. Oh my gosh. Sweet is not the word. Beautiful and wonderful, and at the same time, it's bitter. It's bitter because there will be, for every hostage that is being released, 30 or 50 murderers, monsters that will be released from Israeli prison and brought back, for the most part, to their homes, to the place where they began the horrors that they did, whether in the West Bank, in not the West Bank, in Judah, and Yehuda and Shamron, or in Gaza, and what that possibly could lead. But our prayers will hopefully not allow that to happen. And the strength of the IDF will also not allow that to happen. That a terrorist or many terrorists will wreak much more havoc than the precious lives that are coming back. Is this a good deal? I question. The Lubavitcher Rebbe questions. Many people question. We have to celebrate the life that is being returned, but at the same time, the weakness that we have shown is very bitter. Let's hear from a former Prime Minister of Israel and his thoughts of it, Naftali Bennett.
I want to bring in former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. Sir, your reaction to what Trey just reported?
You know, in Israel, we have a fundamental principle that we don't leave anyone behind. And as a former soldier and commander and the Prime Minister of Israel, this is really at the core of what makes Israel strong, is that solidarity. This is a heart-wrenching decision, make no mistake, because they're gonna release only third of the hostages, while we have 2/3 who are gonna remain hostages for the time being. And there's a considerable price here, but we're bracing ourselves for difficult days to embrace these hostages that are being released and bring them home.
Explain to me the mechanics of the political side of this. This is something that Trey just touched on in his live report. This is tomorrow a.m. The Supreme Court, that's one component, the Israeli Supreme Court, but also the Israeli Security Cabinet. They've got to vote. They've got to accept the terms of the deal, and then Israel's parliament as well. Are you confident that those are going to be yes votes? And this passes through all of these
The Supreme
hurdles?
Court will certainly confirm, so will the government. It doesn't require the parliament. The Knesset does not have to vote, so this is going to pass. There may be some opposition in the cabinet, but it's going to pass.
In your opinion, is this a good deal that Netanyahu is moving forward with?
Look, I don't want to second guess the current government. It's an agonizing decision to make under tremendous pressures. I've been in that seat. I know how hard it is to govern Israel. There'll be a time and place to analyze how we reach this point, because to be honest, we had set 3 objectives and we've not yet met those objectives. It was defeating Hamas, replacing Hamas as the governing entity of Gaza, and bringing home all the hostages. So we're a year and 2 months in, and we've not yet achieved that. So I think at this point, it's already fait accompli. This deal is done, and now we have to prepared to receive these hostages, begin the long process of, getting back on our feet. Israel will persevere. That I can promise you. We're a strong nation, and ultimately we're going to defeat Hamas.
Absolutely true. Israel is a strong nation, and they will persevere. The question, of course, is on the deal and the loss of potential life in the future. Of course, it's hard to have clarity in such an issue because you have hostages that are clearly alive, and there's an opportunity to get them now, which is understood. On the other hand, there is the chance of the terrorists that are being freed, that are murderers, and that they will go back to their murderous ways. And why shouldn't they? After all, they go into prison knowing that they're going to be released eventually with a deal. So for them, it's only sweet. It works out perfectly. So yes, Israel will continue and will be strong, but to what expense? That is the question. Let's continue with the conversation.
You are a strong nation. I agree with that 100%. But I have a question, though, with regards to the structure of the deal, because what about Gaza now? Because does this effectively give Hamas back Gaza? I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu said repeatedly after October 7th that the elimination of Hamas was the goal. Does this agreement actually complete that?
No, it doesn't. For the time being, Hamas, unfortunately, remains the sovereign or the governing entity of Gaza. That's a bad thing. That's a part of the meaningful price of this deal. However, after 42 days, Israel will be able to continue to pursue the removal of Hamas. And I know both the outgoing and incoming administrations in the United States totally support the replacement of Hamas in Gaza. We're going to have to do that.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, but what did
you... Ooh, after 42 days, they can continue, but they will be released about 2,000 more terrorists who can join the ranks of Hamas. Plus, Hamas now has the chance to regroup itself and to potentially, I mean, it might be difficult, to rearm themselves because the IDF will be still in Gaza. But listen, they've been able to do it till now, although the infrastructure has definitely been very much weakened and destroyed. But they will regroup, and they are committed to the last man to annihilate Israel, to kill every single Jew, not just in Israel, but everywhere and across the world. And as a result, those 42 days could wreak untold havoc and have a lot more than 33 lives that will be lost. Heaven forfend. Our prayers will be there that it should not happen. And it's only from the past do we know that, these deals end up against us. As Galit Shalit was released with one soldier for over 1,000 terrorists that were released, and one of them was a Sinwar, who was the mastermind of October 7th. Let's continue the conversation.
What do you make of Steve Witkoff's participation in these negotiations? He is President-elect Donald Trump's nominee, of course, to be Middle East envoy, but he was already in the ground in Doha, in Qatar, as in a piece of this. We had our president, President Joe Biden, last night take credit, and rightly so, for putting together the structure of the deal. It seems that the deal that's in place now was pretty much what Joe Biden had put together and the UN had voted for at the beginning of last summer. Final word on that.
Well, we're thankful to President Biden and to incoming President Trump. Clearly, Trump's involvement had a meaningful impact that's obvious to anyone who looks at it. All I can say is that in Israel, while we can only try and celebrate life, even amid the huge price that we're paying, on the other side of the border in Gaza, we're seeing huge celebrations of death. And people chanting, we're going to continue October 7th, live Yaya Sinwar. This is what we're dealing with. We're undaunted. We are strong. We will defeat Hamas. It'll take maybe longer than we had hoped, but we ultimately are fighting for life, for good, and good will prevail.
All right. Thank you, Naftali, for joining us.
Ooh. So it's Joe Biden's deal, which the UN ratified about a year ago. No, less than a year, sorry, months ago. And Israel didn't accept it. All of a sudden, Steve Witkoff, on behalf of Donald Trump, in a couple of days, there we go. We accept the deal. Why? Not because it's good for Israel. It's because Israel was pressured. As I've said previously, Donald Trump is a friend of Israel, but from your friends, you have to be more wary of than those who aren't your friends. Because the pressure that was put on by a friend is as something that was not accepted for months on end. The UN, who wants this, is not our friend. Biden, whatever, I wouldn't say he's an enemy, but he's. We didn't accept it, and now it's being accepted only because of pressure. It's not something that would have been accepted otherwise. Why? Because there's three objectives here. Defeating Hamas, which they have not been defeated. Not only that, now they're strengthened. Replacing the governance of Hamas, which that has effectively left them to govern. And even the hostages, we're only getting back 3 today. Only 3. Another 3 in a week. 3 more in a week after. It'll be only 33 after 42 days out of about 100. So we haven't even achieved that. As I said, it's bittersweet. Sweet because just one life that has been saved, is amazing and wonderful and to be celebrated. But the bitterness is we've empowered not just an enemy, not just terrorists, but those who celebrate death. Death to every single Israeli, death to every single Jew, and actually death to all Western civilization, death to those who don't follow their belief system. Folks, let us wake up and see the challenge we're dealing with. And let us be strong together. Let us offer our prayers to God Almighty to defeat the enemy without much difficulty, without any more loss of life, and to bring peace, tranquility, the end of a jungle, but a world of good, God's garden, the redemption through Mashiach now.